Well, hello, my name is Todd Cotta, and my family and I own the King's Gun Center, and we're here to make sure that in these kinds of events we keep everybody as informed as possible about our rights as Americans and what is happening on the local, state, and federal levels of our government and how it affects our rights. We are happy to do these kinds of events, and we're happy that the CRPA has joined us tonight and partnered up with us with what we call our Rounding Up program. It's called Roundup for Gun Rights. So anytime you shop at our store, our sales clerks should ask you, would you like to round up your order to 00, 25 cents, 80 cents, whatever it might be. And last month we had 112 donations at $70.89. It was pretty cool, just a little bit of change how it adds up. We are the very first store to do this for the CRPA, and we're trying to encourage other gun stores to do the same, because if we can get 500 gun stores to start doing this, we can really start doing the snowball effect for the fighting on the Sacramento level, at least, for our gun rights and getting some traction with the law. We're going to talk about some of those things in just a little bit and what's going to the Supreme Court now that we do have a new Supreme Court justice. But first things first, why don't we all stand up so we can do a flag salute? I'd like to start this off right. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So once again, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight, and I'd like to introduce Rick Travis, the Executive Director of the California Rifle and Pistol Association.
Welcome. How's everybody doing? You guys here? Okay, good. All right, so yes, it's a brave new world. We have our newest Justice Gorsuch in, so we're really happy. So as I go through some of this, it's going to be the first time we talk about the impact of Judge Gorsuch actually being on the Supreme Court. And hopefully I'll be able to dispel some myths and get you guys all focused on some of the same things we're trying to do up and down the state. So the grassroots outreach program, I'm going to do a couple things up front to let people know what it's about and what it's not about. We are not doing this statewide in any attempt to start a new movement or to make up something that replaces a members council or anything you have going on locally. What we are doing as the California Rifle Pistol Association, in conjunction with NRA Grassroots, is going to all 58 counties, because California, if you don't know it, is a huge state. And one of the issues with that is each county or group of counties is like its own little culture. You have different things, different types of shooting sports, have a high ranking. So like down in where we are at headquarters, in Orange County, 3-gun shoots are the big moving thing. Almost every person from the ages of about 15 to about 55 are involved in it. However, if we go about 10 miles to the east in Riverside County, it's single action shooting and IPDA are the two biggest ranking things. And there's a few 3-gunners, but not that many. And that has an impact on how we communicate, both as the National Rifle Association and the California Rifle Pistol Association. So one of the things is we're doing this throughout the 58 counties leading up to the 2018 election, because you're going to see there's a strong message that we're not losing this fight. We can actually win this fight. But we have allowed the opposition to convince most of our brethren that it's already lost and don't even bother. And so part of this is to help turn that around at this grassroots outreach level. So where are we coming from? How many of you remember Prop 63? Okay, that was a hard-fought battle. And Todd and I had a great conversation 2 days ago?
Thursday night, Thursday morning.
Yeah, Thursday morning, about this very issue. So how many of you are familiar with the King Center billboards that you see coming into town and going out? And Todd, how much does it cost? Roughly.
Yeah. Well, that billboard cost my store $520 a month for that King's Gun Center billboard, right?
A month.
A month.
A month. On Highway 15 between Vegas and San Bernardino, same size billboards, 10 grand a week. So that's why sometimes I would get phone calls during the middle of this battle going, Rick, I'm from somewhere in the Central Valley, the North Coast. Why aren't you putting billboards up everywhere in LA, Santa Barbara, San Diego? Well, for what I would spend on one billboard, Todd could put up 20 in the local area. But down there, and that's for a month, for what would cost me for one billboard in a week. So some of what we did was we put billboards in some places, then another, it was all about costs. Another one of the lessons we learned from Prop 63 is, remember when we as voters about 10 years ago went to the polls to limit how much money people could put into political action committees? Yeah, that was probably a mistake looking back. Because in the state of California, this is how it works. If the NRA gives $50,000 in cash, checks, credit cards, or in-kind donations, an in-kind donation would be like if I took this half of the room and said, I need you to work 2 days, helping me canvass neighborhoods. And you would all say, well, I did that as a volunteer, correct? State of California counts every hour of volunteer works in politics is a little over $21 an hour. And that becomes an in-kind donation. Once you break that $50,000 threshold, the NRA would have to give up its membership list of every Californian to the Secretary of State. And I'm going to ask because I know nobody would be foolish enough to raise their hand to say, yeah, let's do that. Okay? So that is why we formed a coalition that we called the Coalition for Civil Liberties. NRA was involved in it, CRPA was involved in it, Gun Owners of California, and others, because collectively we could put enough money together without giving away our membership lists. So when a lot of people are saying people are retreating, no, we have to be tactical how we work so we don't lose our membership and give up information to the opposition that we don't want to give up. And I think you would support that. Where are we going? In 2017, we're being proactive. One of the things we did in 2016 was looked at different types of voting profiles. And I'll give you an example. How many of you at least remember or read stories of the Berlin airlift? Okay? The United States spent millions and millions of dollars to take care of a few thousand people during a crisis, and that was a wise move. Yet most of the time when I talk to gun owners up and down the state, and I say, what do you guys think about San Francisco County? You know what I get? Lost cause. Yet during Prop 63, when you go down to precinct votes, we had 38,571 of our brothers and sisters show up at the polls and vote against Prop 63. As a country, we see that as a group of people worth rescuing. Yet in this state, we see that as it's all over. We're saying, no, it's not all over. With that many people in a small county like San Francisco, you can start to turn things around on precinct levels and unelect people. And that's part of our message tonight. So we're going to be proactive. We also are using litigation. Litigation just got a lot easier because not only has Donald Trump put Neil Gorsuch as our newest Supreme Court justice, but he's also changing the face of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals because some of those judges were rotating off. So new ones being replaced are not as liberal. So we might actually be calling it the Ninth Circuit instead of the Ninth Circus, like we normally do, because the attitude is we can start to change that. But it's also looking at politics. Lyndon Johnson once called it America's greatest pastime, and America's greatest pastime is normally looked at as baseball. So think about it. Any team, I don't care if you're a Giants fan or you like one of the teams south or back east, has what is known as a farm system. What we have forgotten as gun owners is that farm system starts at the dog catcher, the water board, the judges, the school board. It means we start asking deep questions on that level. Who is pro 2A? If they're not, we make sure they don't get elected because it's from those positions that most of them will start to move up to the Assembly, Senate, and Congress. And that's how we can turn this around. Also, local advocacy and activism. Here is an issue that has plagued both the California Rifle Pistol Association and the National Rifle Association. It goes like this. I'll just use hunting as an example because you guys are near a lot of areas where people hunt. A road gets closed. So one of you comes in 3 months after deer season, and you have a talk with Todd, and you go, hey, road 521 got closed, couldn't go hunting. Todd's like, wow, I wonder why that happened. And then 4 months later, one of our field reps comes by. Todd happens to remember on that route. hey, did you guys hear about the road? By that time, how many months have went by? 10. At that point, our legal ability to go and reopen that road has become diminished. But if we immediately find out about it, we can do something. A lot of people will sit at your level and say, well, why didn't you guys know? Well, number one, I may not hunt in that area. No one on my staff may hunt in that area. Number two, a lot of those notices come out in utility bills. So how many of you get a utility bill from Orange County? I do, but I don't get any of the ones from Kings County. And we need you to be looking at those utility bills. And when you see something that looks hinky, quirky, not right, we need you to call us, because then we can mobilize our legal teams and other people and get a ground game going. The last thing is the CRPA PAC, which is a political action committee. We have formed that for just local issues. It is not going to be used to go after something big like Prop 63. It's to be used on every county level. And so that is what right now we're raising money for, because that money will enable us to go and do two things. One, defeat bad candidates, and two, help those good candidates get to the next level where they'll become more productive for us on our Second Amendment rights. So this is a list of a PAC. And the reason we put the Prop 63 PAC up here was because it was a success in several ways. And I know a lot of you are going to say, wait, you didn't win. No, we didn't win on one hand, but on another hand, we did. I want you to look, when you start to see the different people that came together, when you look at this first top part, this looks pretty normal. But as you start to get down here, we got the California Sheriff's Association. And I'm going to tell you how that happened, because it was interesting. The California Sheriff's Association is divided on a lot of Second Amendment issues. Not every sheriff agrees with Sheriff Mims or Sheriff Pasenko or others who lead what are called the Constitutional Sheriff's Association within that. But what happened was, how many of you guys remember last May when Gunmageddon, as it's been called, happened? Okay. One of the reasons we didn't know what was going on was because the bills that got pushed through, 4 of them, weren't even gun bills until 24 hours before. And then when they got recrafted by Kevin DeLeon and his cronies and pushed through, I was the one that was talking to the sheriffs, trying to get them over to the governor's office. We had 42 of your 58 sheriffs, 42, that showed up at the governor's office to meet with him at 9. He had signed at 8:30 that morning. Because of that, we got all the sheriffs to join with us in this coalition, because all the sheriffs, including LA County, was like, that's not right. He had to at least listen to us. And that coalition exists. In fact, in 2 weeks, the CRPA is at that state association. We're working with the sheriffs on several other new laws for 2018. And they're looking at crafting things, trying to anticipate what the federal government's going to do. So, like I said, going by the precincts, here's one of the things I need all of you to understand. When you look at those maps, traditionally, at the end of the election, it shows red, which is technically Central Valley, up along to 395, the wonderful area that we call the state of Jefferson, even though they haven't got to be that yet, but that area. And then you look at the coastline, all the way to the border, and you go, yep, Liberalville. Let it go into the water. Okay? Here's what's interesting. If you look in San Bernardino County, for example, the biggest county in the state, how many votes do you think we need to flip to turn that county from blue, that deep blue that the LA Times and the Chronicle showed it as, to red? You think it was 5%, 10%? What do you guys think?
Probably lower than that, 2%.
It's a little less than 2%, which equated to, and here's the question I ask every group, how many of you could honestly walk in your neighborhood and get one person to change their mind on anything? I think most of us can do that. It took one person every 6.5 blocks changing their votes to switch the county from a blue county to a red county. Yet the way it was portrayed as blue as San Francisco, which would have taken a lot more people to switch their votes in that county. But that's one of the things we need people to do, is to really start to ask questions, because the media will put it out, oh, that county's totally owned by the Democrats. It's not. Most of Orange County was not owned. And there were even precincts, surprisingly enough, in LA County, that a whole district worth went for Donald Trump and anti-Prop 63. Yet when you look at the county on a statewide map, it's all Hillary Clinton, and yes on 63. So that's one of the things that we're trying to teach people. So one of the things that we learned was by going into precincts, and I'll take one of the precincts we worked in, was in the area of Inglewood. I happen to know some people in that area, so we took a crew of 4 college students who were volunteers, and a couple of us, and we started walking a precinct. This precinct historically has voted 98% Democrat and has not voted for gun issues. So not a friendly precinct. And we started to walk around, talk to people on Saturdays and Sundays. Here are the things we learned. Highly African American, highly educated, a lot of them work in the aerospace industry, and they said, well, we have to vote that way because the union says if we don't, we could lose our jobs, our homes, and our this, and we're like, nope, not true. Talked to them, showed them. We flipped that precinct by spending 2 weekends walking it. This is what the antis do all the time. And a lot of us sit back, I'm not saying you guys, but a lot of people I meet sit back and I go, well, that's just craziness. Nobody would be that stupid. Well, when all they hear is the other voice, people will do what they hear. And so we've got to get that out. So now because of this, and because of studies, we have a roadmap of where we need to be. So there are numerous anti-Second Amendment and hunting bills, and this is one of the areas I want to explain something to everybody in this room. So how many of you have a hunting license? Good, thank you. How many of you like to go shoot shotguns? Pistols? Rifles? How many of you reload? Okay, see, we have different people. And the reason I do that is because here's what I've had to fight against for the last 5 years, is I have Jack on this side, and hopefully nobody's named Jack, so I'm not talking about you, but I have Jack on this side and Jill on this side. Jill's a shotgun shooter. Every time something comes up with an AR-15 or hunting, she's like, not my problem. I don't do that. They're not talking about me. And vice versa. When something comes up like Kim Rhodey not being recognized by the President of the United States for being the greatest Olympian, and she's our Olympic shotgun shooter and a good friend of mine, the guys over there with the 3 guns and the hunters are like, well, she don't hunt. Not my problem. It's everybody's problem. Because I guarantee you, if I go into a hunting conservation meeting and say one thing about coyotes not being endangered, which I think we'd all agree, 7.5 million coyotes in the state, nowhere near being endangered. But there are people making that argument for the Game Commission. I'll get the mountain lion people, the save the little tree frog people, everybody turning on me. Yet when they come after one group of hunters or one group of shooters, this is what I get. That one group standing over here, and the rest are like, not doing anything. So one of the things we need you to realize is there is a pyramid, and that pyramid is set up like this. Hunting, all the shooting sports, ranges, and the Second Amendment at the base. Normally, the NRA and the CRPA can show you over the last 25 years, 2 of those sides are normally attacked. The other 2 are left, for the most part, alone. Last year, every single side of that was attacked multiple different ways, not just in the legislation, not just in litigation, but also, as Todd and I were talking on Thursday, by people showing up at ranges from water boards, Army Corps of Engineers, other special assistants of the governor, trying to find creative ways to shut them down. One range way up at the top of the state, after these bad rains, they sampled the water. The water was actually potable coming off the 25-foot pistol range, meaning that you could drink it safely. It wasn't Flint, Michigan. Okay? And what did the guy from the water board say? It's not Fiji water. Doesn't have to be Fiji water. And thankfully, the guy didn't sign off on the citation he was trying to write, because once he did, it would be a whole other legal game. So we are dedicating a lot of resources and meeting with ranges to make sure they know the do's and don'ts, what to say, what not to say, providing them legal protection. We're meeting with the hunting community, have formed the biggest hunting coalition. In fact, that was the reason I was here on Wednesday up in Sacramento before I came to see Todd on Thursday, is bringing those groups together so we fight as one voice. Going back to Gunmageddon, on that Thursday, when all this went down, I want everybody to understand something. There were lots and lots and lots of different pro-2A people who were putting out messages. Please, 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 help us fight this, donate here. So I'm a former airman, saw some combat over in the Middle East, and I will tell you something. The proof is who is standing with you when things hit the fan, not when they're comfortable. On that day, there were 4 lobbyists that stood trying to convince assembly members and senators not to vote for those draconian laws. And that was Dan Reed of the National Rifle Association. For those of you, do I have any Hunter Ed instructors in here? No? Okay. Well, Roy Griffith, who used to be with Hunter Ed with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, is our lobbyist. He was there. Sam Predis of Gun Owners of California, and from California Waterfowl, Mark Henley. That was it. Nobody else was on the floor that day. And I say that because where you put your money, I don't care to whichever of those groups. But if you're giving your money to other groups, those weren't the groups that were in there fighting. Those are the groups that were raising money for I don't know what they use it for, but if you look at their Form 990s that they filled with the Secretary of State's office, you will see it didn't go to that fight. And that's another message we're trying to get out. If you never give money to the CRPA, that's your choice. But please, give it to California Waterfowl, give it to the NRA, give it to Gun Owners of California because they're doing the job.